what happens if you just leave all those things to kind of like accumulate over time and you're like, tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. Before you know it, you're living like in a pigsty. Hello, guys. Welcome to Mama's Playground, where mamas come to play. And today we're going to be talking about
Procrastination.
Darlene, talk to me about this.
So, okay, I have a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
Yes or no? Simple. Have you ever set 5 or more alarms to wake up?
Yes.
Okay, for everything. I actually do it for everything.
No, but I have done it.
I set alarms. Seriously, I set alarms to wake up, to leave the house, to pick up Luna.
Oh, my Lord.
And then for some reason, I have another one for 5 and 6 o'clock. I'm not sure. But yeah, it gives me peace of mind because I know I'm going to have like something reminding me.
I had done this at one point, but I am horrible at following it through. You know what I mean? Even if the alarm sounds, I'm like, and I do something else. So I'm bad when it comes to procrastination.
You hit that stop. No, I'm like snoozing all the way to like time to go to bed at night. Okay, have you waited over a week to reply a text? And I am so guilty as charged.
Not guilty. When it comes to my phone and when it comes to somebody texting or emailing, for some reason, I have to jump on it. It could be 1 a.m. and I'm having like insomnia and somebody emails me about something and I have to answer.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am terrible.
Yeah.
This is the thing. And I'll read the message and I'm like, oh, and I already have the response in my head, but I don't text. Or I don't, it's bad. It's bad. It's bad.
I'm the opposite, but we both procrastinate. So we're going to talk
we
about
need
this.
to work on these issues. Have you bought a birthday present on the way to the birthday?
Absolutely. I am the one that is still finding, and sometimes I don't even take wrapping paper or a bag. I'm like, screw it. I'm just taking the gift like that outside of the bag. And yeah, that I am super guilty of.
And then you don't buy the card because you're in a hurry. So, and then the box that you buy does not have like the space to put the name, like the little card. And
Yes.
you end up like with a marker writing it outside of the bag. It's horrible.
Yes. I'm super guilty. I'm super guilty of that.
Another question. Have you put off scheduling appointments?
So here's the thing: when it comes to things that have to do with, let's say, what I do for a living, because I'm in the sales side of things, I typically am thorough as hell when it comes to making appointments and being on top of it. But for myself, I'm horrible. Like doctor's appointments, I leave myself for last. So I don't know what.
Moms tend to do that.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's kind of like give and take. It depends what it is, but yes, I have.
And another question. Have you started a project before, like right before the deadline? And this goes also for students. Like you have a paper to turn in and and you do it like you start like a day before, although you've known for a month.
Or not even. You're waking up at 6 in the morning because your class is like at 10 and you got to turn it in at 10. And at 6, you're starting to write the paper. That's me. That I do that. You see, I'm guilty as hell on that.
Does that give you kind of like an adrenaline rush?
It does, but then I drive everybody around me crazy because they're like I'm mad at everybody. I'm in a bad mood, and I don't want anybody to talk to me. So yeah, it gives me an adrenaline rush, and when I actually accomplish doing it in such a little time, I'm like, yes, I did it. But it sucks, you shouldn't. You should try at least to do things on a timely manner.
You're celebrating your procrastinating habits. That's what you're doing. So there's two types. There's the passive procrastinator and the active. The passive, that would be somebody like me. Like I don't know. Like it's hard for me to make decisions. My husband says it's because I'm a Libra, probably. And then I don't know. Like I tend to leave things for later, which is horrible. And then there's the active. That's the one that does it on purpose. That's why I was asking because these are the people that they have like this rush out of, oh my God, I'm saving, I'm doing it later. And right
It's
before the deadline, and they get this,
like correct. It's like I don't know. It's like a party, like inside, like yeah, like I did something like wrong, or and you got away with it. Sometimes I get that feeling, but then I also get down on myself because of it. Because I'm like, man, I could have done this sooner. I wouldn't be rushing. I could have taken advantage of so many things if I wouldn't have waited till the last minute to do it. And that's my life, like on a constant.
and then you do it again,
And then you do it again.
and you keep doing it.
Yes. And so I have a question for you, though.
Uh-oh.
So I have a question for you. Okay, so I think everybody has some sort of procrastination, and I think it depends on what it is, right? Like I'm sure that there's some things that you would never procrastinate on because you just won't, Maybe like it comes down to, your mom, let's say. Maybe waking up in the morning and making sure that your daughter eats. You're not going to wait like 5 hours while you do stuff so that, certain things are a priority.
That's when I'm like the most productive in the morning.
Yeah, me too.
And
Me
I'm
too.
still taking her like
too.
a little bit later than I supposed to school.
Yeah, because you start doing stuff, or like I don't know, you take longer in the bathroom than you should
She
have.
does.
Right. But I mean, what is, there's something that I saw a long time ago. I'm super into personal development, like huge, on reading books and listening to all these like people that talk about these things. And there's one person I listen to, her name is Mel Robbins. And
Okay.
she had this thing that said like, okay, if you're a procrastinator, if you're somebody that never gets things like done on time, I have a little trick for you. And I was doing this for a while and it actually worked. And then again, I'm not consistent, but when I am, it's good. So it was kind of like an alarm clock in your head. If you're like laying in bed and you know you have to get up and do something,
Okay.
she basically made it seem like a rocket ship kind of thing, like in your head. So like, let's say you're sleeping, right? And then you wake up and you're like, shit, I know I gotta do X, Y, and Z. She's like, count backwards, like a rocket ship, like launch, right? Like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then something like, in your brain just goes, boom, I have to get up. And it worked for me for a while. I don't know if it was psychological, but it worked for me.
Oh, that's a good one. So you're in bed and then you're pretending to be a rocket, a rocket ship.
Yes. Basically, that's the way that I took
And then
it.
when it takes off, that's when you start being productive.
Correct. And you're like, yeah. And I was doing that for so long. Like, I'll give you an example. I said, I want to work out at 5 in the morning. Like, I want to be those people that wake up and are so religious with working out, like at 5, 6 in the morning, take care of themselves, and then the day progresses, right?
Yes.
And I did this maybe for like 3 months. And I remember that thing of her saying, like, let's think of this as a rocket ship. And I would sit there and I would look at the alarm and I'm like, shit, it's 5 minutes till 6, right? Because I wanted to work out actually at 6:30, not 5. And I'd be like, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Monica, wake up. And I would wake up. And I did this for 3 months and it actually worked. But
What
then
happened after the 3 months, though?
life took over. Life took over, and then I started eating like shit, and then there you go, and then life takes over, and then you forget, and other things take priority, and then I became another procrastinator.
But that happens a lot with working out. Like to start again, it's so
Hard.
difficult.
Yes.
But then once you wake up, you either through a rocket ship or through an alarm, it's great. Once you start, like you're motivated, and that's the thing about procrastination, that it has a lot to do with lack of motivation.
Yeah.
I have an example. I was at my friend's house recently, and she has 2 daughters, and one of them ran. Like she was next to me, and she just took off, went to the room, got something, came back, and gave it to her sister. And I'm like, how did you do that so quick? And she's like, oh, because I was timing her, and I'm going to go get her something that she wanted to get, some juice or whatever, buy her juice. And I was like, oh, talk about motivation. Like, it made her go so quick to the room to get something for her sister, which doesn't happen with siblings that fast, just because she was motivated. And I was like, wow, that's, when you're motivated, you take action. Like with us with this podcast, we did start talking about this like 2-3 months ago. It did take preparation. But we're finally doing it because we were so excited to be here and sharing our stories with you. So that's motivation.
And what was the first thing I told you though? So very quickly, like, and I'm sure this relates to a lot of things, but the first thing I said is, Darlene, I don't want to procrastinate, or like I don't want to say anything because I want to make sure that I do it, because I can tell you honestly, I am a huge procrastinator. Huge, 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 that I have missed out on so many things because I have been a procrastinator, because I've allowed things to kind of like fall off the wagon and then let other things take control, right? Or take lead. And then things that I really wanted to do kind of get, you know, to the back, and then you forget about them.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, you shouldn't, because if it's important things, it's still there, you know
Yes.
what I mean? But, it kind of like lags for a while. So
Yes.
yeah.
No, and aside from the motivation part, there's also other reasons why people procrastinate. When you're, let's say, you sit down and you have to write something or work or whatever you do, but then it's that thing of like your phone's there, so it's like, oh, I need to check my Instagram, I have to check my Facebook
my
or
God.
social media, and that impulsiveness that distracts you. It takes you to do something that you're not supposed to be doing at that time. Like, I don't know, I like checking my social media when I go to the restroom.
So do
It's
I.
like
So do I. Or when I can't sleep, like let's say I wake up, the first thing I do, which is horrible, I know it's something I have to stop doing. I have my phone on my bedside table and I grab it. And then if I can't go back to sleep, I start scrolling through social media or whatever, which what I should be doing, or not
it's
should,
counting sheep.
I should be getting some good night's rest because I've got to take care of two kids afterwards. Yes. But, I do something at least a little bit more productive, like get up and work out, which hasn't happened in a while.
Exactly. What about when you have to do some cleaning around the house? That's another thing. It's like, oh, I'll do the floors tomorrow. Oh, I'll do this tomorrow. And again, we go back to lack of motivation, because honestly, who wants to do that?
No one. No
Exactly.
one. I don't want to do that. But I mean, it's hard though, because it's something that you have to do. Like what happens if you just leave all those things to kind of like accumulate over time, and you're like, tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. Before you know it, you're living like in a pigsty. So I think this is in regards to everything.
And the thing with that is, you don't have deadlines, like unless you have people coming over. And still, when that happens, you can see me and my husband like, clean over there, do this, do that.
Which if you would have done before, it wouldn't be so hard,
Exactly.
right?
So I'm trying to work on that, especially when the holidays come and all that. You want to have your house ready for last minute guests, so you don't go
Yes.
crazy. Because when you procrastinate, it's gonna end up in being a stress. It is gonna stress you one way or the other. With cleaning, you don't, unless you have people coming over, there's no deadline. But there's other things that do have deadlines, and people tend to underestimate how much time they have to do something. Like at work, if you have a project, sometimes you're like, oh my God, this is due in 3 months. Hey, guess what, time flies.
Big time, big time. I try to tell that to Benjamin, my husband, because he is a big time procrastinator. If I'm a procrastinator, he's a huge procrastinator. And it's like, I mean, it just could be something so simple as like, okay, we have I don't know, a wedding to go to. And the wedding, the people are walking down the aisle at 7 o'clock. We have to be there to watch them, and he's at 7 still getting dressed. Or looking at himself in the mirror getting dressed. And I'm like, shit, people are walking down you know what I mean? Like that sort of procrastination, last minute kind of thing. So like, what are tips and tricks that have helped you though, kind of like get things done?
Who said that I've been helped with that situation? No, I'm trying to. Okay, so for example, my dad wrote a book, which it took him about 10 years to write it because he also has another job. He's not a full-time writer. And I remember, this is so sad, in 2013, our New Year's resolution, my dad's and mine, was we're going to get this book published. We're talking about 2013. It's like, how do you procrastinate for so long? It's a matter of saying, like, this is the time. I would forever be sad and regret not doing this for him,
But can I ask you something? Do you think sometimes, like, let's say, I don't know if that's in your particular case, but do you think sometimes people end up like procrastinating maybe because they think, like, let's say something in that sense, like a book or, I don't know, something you want to do professionally, a job or whatever. Maybe sometimes people put things on the back burner because they think like, shit, this might not even work. Like, who's gonna get my book, or who is going to listen to me, or who's gonna like my music, or who's gonna like, and maybe the self doubt kicks
Oh,
in.
for sure. It's insecurity, and that's one thing that I wanted to talk about. The reasons, because people use the word for procrastination all the time, but there's more serious reasons why it happens. Like people that are going over depression because they don't want to get out of bed. They have things to do. We all do. But people that could be going through a depressive stage, it might be a little bit harder for them to have these, like, do these tasks. Uh, Also, people that have OCD, for example, that they want everything to be perfect. So they don't do the things because they're scared that it's not going to be good enough.
Yeah.
And in my case, I was scared because I nobody has ever written a book in my family, and I don't know much about the business. And then my dad hands me this life project of his, and I was just scared. And then you go on Google, and you have so many options, and each option it's more pricier than the other one, and it's okay. What do I do? Who do I trust?
You get analysis paralysis.
Exactly.
Because you analyze everything, and I think that also leads to procrastination. Like when you think that there's so many different like options or so many different things and ways, because obviously everything can take different ways and all that, you start to you know stimulate yourself with all the things that could happen, and then you don't do anything about it.
Yes.
And you sit there, and before you know, it's been months, years, and you're like, shit, all this time passed, and what the hell did I do? And I am, I mean, I'm professional at this. I don't know how many things I have started and I have said I'm going to do, and I have taken and like, and I have put all my heart and soul into it. And then either I, come back and I say, is it going to happen? Like, is this going to work? You know what I mean? And then I get analysis paralysis. And then before you know it, I didn't do shit. And it's gone.
And
it's
then
done.
you move on to another thing, and you forget. But again, with motivation, when it's something that you really want, it'll happen. Something that works, it's breaking, like if you have, let's say, to plan your kid's birthday or husband's birthday or whatever, it's instead of thinking of the whole picture, like, oh my God, I gotta like just start small. What is it gonna be about? Okay, let's go on Amazon or wherever you do your shopping. Let's start purchasing that. Boom, you got it at home. And then just taking like all these tasks like little by little. And that's one thing that I've been trying to work on. Cause I have like I have a notebook in front of me with notes because I forget everything. I need 1,000 tabs because everything is a different topic. So one thing also that helps is like saying, okay, I'm gonna work on this thing for 25 minutes. Boom, 25 minutes, I'm just gonna dedicate it to this task. And then you take a 5-minute break. If you need to go back there, you do it. And then you move to the other one if you have several things to do. But breaking the big things into smaller pieces, I believe
time
that
blocking.
helps.
You're
Yeah,
blocking out
yeah.
time, certain time, which I wish I was consistent with that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's so many things that you have to be honest with yourself and say, instead of like, this didn't happen, or oh my God, look, it's, you have to come to terms with, whose fault is it? It's mine. It's my fault. I took long. I waited till 5:30 when the wedding was at 6:30 to start getting dressed when I've got three kids to take care of. You know what I mean? Like it's your fault. You know what I mean? But obviously we all want to be better people, and we all want to like work on ourselves. At least
Yes.
I do. I don't know.
Yes, me too. And everybody does. We all
Yeah.
do, right?
I would say we all want to better ourselves. So it's like, how do we break it down? And for me, at least one of the things has been, and again, I have to get back into it and all that, is when I listen to the personal development, it kind of brings me back to like, yes, this is what I need to do. And I need to get motivated with it. And when I see that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that there is ways to resolve things, there is ways to like actually get things done in a timely manner. And then when I've done it, I feel so proud of myself.
And that's where you reward yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where and another thing you say, for example, in my case, I want to lose weight, right? So I put a date. My friends daughter, she's having her quinceañera. So I said, okay, by that day, I want to lose this amount of let's see,
Yeah,
let's hope
go.
pray. So then it's that's another good thing because you say, okay, I'm gonna start my diet and I'm gonna start working out on Monday. Put yourself a date. Once you put yourself a date, it's like, okay, by this date, I need to, and then reward yourself.
Yeah.
Reward yourself when you do like these tasks, and because that will also, help you with your mood and boost you for the next task.
Definitely. Definitely.
And another one, get rid of distractions. If you need things to be done,
Lock yourself in the room, take your kids out of the room, the husband out of the room,
and
and
turn off. But worse
yes.
than that is the phone and social media. Turn
Ah,
turn off the notifications. If you want to see who sent you a message on Instagram, go on Instagram. When
yeah.
you're in the bathroom, you
Or
don't have to be like getting like all these
I
notifications all the
I
time.
have to tell you that's a hard one for me. Like I am one of those. I am guilty. I am addicted to my phone. I cannot be without my phone. I am the one that sits at a dinner table and I mean I put it upside down, but if I hear it vibrate, I'm like, "Ugh." And it gets me ants in my pants. I want to see, you know what I mean? And that is something I
That
have to
we
work
are
on.
going to, we should bring a professional. Seriously, I'm going to bring a
Yes.
professional
Yes,
to
maybe a
help with that.
hypnosis person or something that can kind of like take that and like it's a disease. It's a
Yeah.
disease.
Another thing I was reading about, you know what helps with the mood? The colors. What you wear, what you
Oh yeah.
wear surrounded. Green. Did you know that green is a color that boosts your mood?
No, well, it's a money signal.
I know.
That's actually
Maybe
green,
that's
or it's
why.
grass,
Maybe
and
that's why.
it's green. It's nature too. It's everywhere you
Yeah.
go. You know, nature also brings you
Yes,
at peace
that's
and
why
well with
it's
yourself.
always good to go on a hike. Not that in Florida we have hiking areas, but
You go to the
like be in
beach.
the nature. Be so green is good, and then red is the one that tells you. Like I was reading that it's more like, beware, stay away,
But
stop.
red is very strong. Like red is like
It's
red is strong.
passion.
Yeah, it's passion. It's passion. It's strong. It's yeah. I could see that. I would have thought that you would have said something like maybe yellow or something.
No, actually, green. I like yellow, but green is it's which is actually my favorite color.
Mine
But
too.
that one gives you energy, and chocolates also.
Oh, because it has
Chocolates.
caffeine.
Yes, chocolates, it's good. So let's eat chocolate. Standing tall is another way of like, being motivated, being happy with yourself. Like walk, like stand tall. It decreases the cortisol, which is the stress hormones.
So I mean, we've got a couple of things here. Hold on. Let's do a little recap
Okay.
here, okay? So, if you're a professional procrastinator, like, well, I would say more like me. I don't know if Darlene is such a procrastinator. Maybe some things, but I am truly.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, if you are like us and you are procrastinators, first we want to hear about you guys as well. Like, if you send us
Yes.
some messages, tell us things that you do, because if you could help me, man, I will thank you.
Yes, we're here to help each other. We're here talking about personal experiences, but we want to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, from normal
Because we
people.
need help too.
Yeah. I want to hear from we want to hear from different people that are like us, maybe tips and tricks that you've done to help you stop procrastinating and be more productive. But in what we just covered right now, like one thing for me would be, I mean, that helped me. That thing with the Mel Robbins thing helped me. The 5 4 3 2 1 something, now that I mention it, I'm like, shit, I got to start doing that
I'm
again.
going to practice it.
But that's one for me, and then you did cover a couple more. So like, what's the rundown with the ones that you said?
Break out things that you need to do, break them in smaller steps. Keep those tasks small, even if they're part of like a bigger picture. Go little by little. There's something called the Parkinson's law, which is put your artificial deadlines, like what I did for trying to lose weight by a certain date. Nobody put that deadline for me. It's me putting it onto myself. Reward yourself, minimize distractions, and then set the bar low. Like if you know you're gonna have a heavy week with events with your kids or something like that, then know what you have in front of you And don't try to do too much, because then you're going to be like, oh, I can't do this, and you're just going to leave it for another day. And that's what we're trying to do things when they have to be done.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it sounds good.
sounds good. So let us know what you think.
Yeah.
If you have any suggestions, any other ideas, if you're trying the rocket experiment, let us know how that
Four, three,
goes.
two, one, boom. You know what I mean? Like a big crash. Yeah.
Okay, so you
definitely.
can hit us up on our Instagram, which is at mamas.playground. And we're also on YouTube. Remember, this is an audio and video podcast. Okay, so see you later.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.